Hello everybody and welcome to today's Sunday sermon, which is Christmas Day, 25th of December 2022. Of course, it's a great joyful occasion, even in the commercial world. But of course, we're more concerned with what the meaning of it is for us this year and this time of our lives in our history. God has come among us, Emmanuel, God is with us. And he came among us and took on our human nature, and eventually he lived his life, even though it was very different circumstances to ours maybe, and then he died at the age of 33. We need to make it personal, I think, for us to have a deeper meaning this Christmas. We need to look at it and see what is important about it. I met a Muslim one time who said to me that he could not believe that God would come among us as a human being. He said, it's impossible. Why would God do that, and how can God do that? I tried to explain to him everything that's been created by God. Now, why are we saying God can't do this? Why are we limiting God? But the big point is, Christ lives in us and in all human beings, because, as Genesis said, the book of Genesis, we are all made in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, we have it within us to be like Christ. But he is like us in all things but sin. We too are human, with a touch of the divine in us. The great examples of the divinity that is in us all is when we do great acts of kindness and fraternity and oneness with our fellow human beings and for great causes on the earth. Our divinity shows itself in forgiving one another, for instance, and in asking for forgiveness. Our willingness to help other people is a sign of the divinity of God in us. The nobleness of being patient in sickness and then with our problems. We wait for Jesus in our lives to show himself in the events of our lives. In fact, we have great examples in our history of the church, of so many people who have gone the whole way in giving of their lives fully for other people. And this is what Jesus did for us on Calvary. So they are other Christs to the world. We're all called in our own way to be other Christs for other people. So this is what we are celebrating at Christmas. So though we are celebrating the birth of Jesus, we jump forward now to his death. And why that is important. Sometimes it's difficult to understand how is the death of Jesus on the cross saving us from our sins. The best way to explain how Jesus has saved us from our sins is in a little story. A man who owns a big, beautiful house has a son who is very friendly with a little poor boy in the neighborhood. And they are playing football together on the lawn. And the poor boy kicks the ball, and the ball goes straight through the window of the big house. The poor boy is alarmed and ashamed and doesn't know what to do because he has no money to pay for that, and he is very depressed. And the son of the big rich man goes to his father, the owner of that house, and explains to him what happened. The father said to his son, "Here is the money, the price of replacing that window. Take it to that boy and tell him, 'Come to my door and I will accept it from him.' and that should relieve him of his guilt forever after. So that is exactly what happened. The son brought the money to the boy, and he came to the big man's house, knocked on the door, and he broke down crying, saying, "I broke that window, but here is the price for repaying it. I am very sorry." And the father of the house, of course, accepted it gratefully and took the money back. So here we have an example of what it is to say that Jesus sacrificed himself for us to be free of our guilt. This was the sacrifice. And Jesus' death is the sacrifice, the price that's paid for our freedom. The man of the big house is God, of course. And the little boy, the poor boy, is ourselves. He represents all of us. What can we do about it is a follow-up question as well. We give because we are grateful. We help the poor because we are grateful. We visit the sick because we are grateful. We work as missionaries because we are grateful. We avoid indulging in endless fantasies like sin, pleasure, that only make us lose all that has been done for us, freedom of our guilt, the place in heaven, as Jesus has done. May the child of Bethlehem help us to see, reflected in the face of God, those who suffer in the sick, the poor, the unemployed, the marginalized, the migrants, and the refugee, and all our brothers and sisters. Happy Christmas, everybody. May God bless you.